Welcome, everyone. Those of you who are on the West Coast and also on the East Coast, everywhere in between. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to the second presentation of our Knowledge Builder webinar series, Tips to Extend Your Events Reach and Revenue, with Jody Ray, the Senior Business Developer Manager at Blue Sky eLearn.
All right, thank you, Arj, and thank you everybody for being here. I'm really glad to be a part of this, and we've got a lot of great ideas and insights to share today. So I'm just gonna, like I said, Arj said, I'm just gonna get rolling so we can pack all of this in. And also, I wanted to let you know, Arj and I were talking the other day, and we both have daughters in college. It's a very awesome season in life, and part of that is just seeing them make a difference in our world. It's a short time that, I had them in my life, and now they're gonna to be really making a big impact themselves. And so part of my passion for helping associations educate their members is just continues to grow. I've been doing this for 26 plus years, and I know my daughters are gonna need to continually grow professionally after college. They're just finishing their degrees. One is gonna be an occupational therapist and the other an accountant. And ideally, they're going to be furthering their education with associations in their fields. So that's why this conversation is so important. You, as an association, can take a leading role in the next 50 years of professional development after that formal education. And those of you who are going to really capitalize on this and deliver high-quality events and education that are going to be accessible, timely, social, and on target to the learners, you're going to be seen as the go-to resource, and you're going to see some increased revenue as a result. So today, I want to paint a bigger picture of what's happening in the learning industry and how that impacts your organization. I'm going to share what type of event content to consider capturing and repurposing and why. And then I'll come back and share some ideas of how to leverage and market your content effectively. Then I'll show you some examples of how clients are leveraging their education and event content for increased revenue and engagement. And we're going to wrap things up by showing a quick overview of the bridge between ACGI's Association Anywhere and Blue Sky's Path LMS. And then we'll leave some time, as Arj said, to answer some questions. So, quick note about Blue Sky. For the last 17 years, our focus has been helping associations leverage their education and event content to reach more people more effectively. And we do this through online learning technology solutions that include managed web events like webinars, webcasts, and podcasts, and a real scalable online learning platform. We've won multiple awards in the industry. My favorite recognition actually is Capterra. They placed us in the top 20 most user-friendly platforms, which is pretty significant because they review over 500 learning management systems. And then even more importantly, our clients love us. We have almost 5 out of 5 stars on the review sites, not just because of the technology, but our team really truly cares, and they're responsive to immediate needs and really their long-term success. So let's talk about how this all comes together. We believe it takes a strong digital ecosystem to provide the best learning experience to enhance both the administrative, your staff, and the learner experiences. What I see happening, unfortunately, most with the associations I speak with every day is that they're struggling. They have multiple systems that are getting duct taped together, and then it's obviously just delivering inconsistent user experiences, inconsistent data, and a duplication of efforts and costs. Blue Sky, as I mentioned, provides professionally managed webinars and webcast services. And we also integrate with the best-in-breed platforms like GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, Zoom, and Adobe Connect, soon WebEx as well. And that synced data allows our clients who may be managing events themselves as well to provide a really seamless process for scheduling, the registration, reporting, and delivering online education. So it's all in one location without duplicate efforts. We also have partnerships with Freeman, for example, who can capture content, and a really streamlined process for bulk uploading those conference recordings. And so PATH is really our online learning platform that kind of is in the middle there that delivers and helps you monetize your online education and event content. It scales from an event platform that includes that registration and on-demand recordings for both virtual and live events to a full-featured learning management system. And then the integration with our client's AMS is critical for that really seamless single sign-on and accessing content that's going to be relevant to them, as well as syncing e-commerce and writing back data that gives that 360-degree reporting, and so that you can act upon it. So let's start with the value of content. Content amplifies the knowledge, authority, and thought leadership your association provides to industry professionals. So it's going to enhance really highlights your benefits and the value of membership, and it integrates with other association aspects. It also demonstrates your industry expertise and collective knowledge of your members and the association. And it facilitates the growth and expansion. So it really provides a path to membership expansion and additional new revenue. And it delivers timely and relevant insight and analysis that enhances your audience, really their understanding of the industry. All right, sometimes I go fast, so take a little breath here. I hope you're all doing well. I'm gonna try and keep an eye on the chat too, or if there's anything that you need from me as well right away. But anyways, I see three really main types of content that you can consider leveraging. There's conference or seminar or workshop type content. And often this is going to be much more than just, handouts or slides. It's going to include, audio synced with the slides, or maybe even a video of the presenter. Also, it's going to be webinar content. Webinars are actually the most popular online learning tools that associations use. This could be something that's informational or educational. They're oftentimes part of a series of events, and they have a remote presenter or presenters, and they're presenting to a virtual audience, usually in multiple locations. And then live streams, multiple varieties of this, I guess, but they could be completely virtual or tied in with a live event, kind of like a hybrid. And then webcasts most often take advantage of a video of a presenter or panel of presenters from an on-site location. So, there we go. Let's actually start our first poll, Arj. Let's get your feedback here, and we'll share it with everybody that's on the line. What event recordings are you currently repurposing, if any? So is that conferences? Is it workshops, live streams, webinars?
Okay. And if I could just ask everyone, we're going to pause for a minute, and please take just a moment to answer these polling questions, and we will feed it back for an analysis. Just about another 20 seconds here.
All right, so conference content, workshops, live streams, webinars, or maybe you're not repurposing anything at this time. And that's why you're here.
Okay, just see a few people still answering. Just about 5 more seconds here.
All right.
Okay, great. I'm going to close the poll, and we'll share this with the audience.
Excellent. So it looks like conference content and the webinars are the big drivers. That is pretty typical, because a recent Tagoras report shows that on-demand webinars or webcasts are the top online offering currently, or that they're planning to by associations. It actually tops self-paced online courses and real-time webinars or webcasts. So it's a pretty big deal, and it's consistent with what's happening in the industry with the people that we have on the line today. All right, let's go to our next poll, Arj. And what we'd like to talk about is who you're sharing your recorded content with.
Okay. And again, we'll give everyone a minute to respond to this poll and then share it with everyone.
All right, so is this going to be attendees, whether it's a conference or a webinar or webcast, or are you sharing it with people that couldn't attend, or both? Members, are you opening it up to non-members, or maybe everybody to really extend the reach?
I'll give you about 20 more seconds. And I'll also take this opportunity to say, if you have any questions, please use the question feature and go to webinar in the console. Be happy to answer them. Okay, with that, thanks for everyone's response. I'm going to close that one down. And Jody, I'm going to share this with the audience.
Perfect. So it looks like members are the biggest chunk of people, as well as attendees, and that yellow one, is it?
Non-members. Yeah, non-members.
Non-members. Got
yeah,
it. All right. Good. Interesting. All right. So now I'm going to get some interesting information to share with you as well. Can you see my screen, Arj?
Yep, sure can.
All right.
Here you go.
Okay, so very good. All right, so the reality is you have an opportunity to reach a really large audience with the appropriate content and across multiple channels. Actually, data shows that professional development is consistently noted as the biggest driver of engagement and value received, and that's across generations and across industries. And really, education can touch all areas of the value an association delivers. So there's a lot of great data there. The bottom line is, if you're not effectively delivering learning online to your core audience, they're going to find it elsewhere. And again, that's why we're here today. We want to help you compete and capitalize on this value. So you're likely in the loop that the digital age is here, and it's here to stay with a vengeance. Your constituents, they expect to access almost everything digitally. They want to access it at their fingertips, any time of the day or night on any device. And they expect really an Amazon-like experience. They want it, it needs to be easy, it needs to be reliable, it needs to be relevant to what their own interests or roles are. According to a recent Gartner study, 89% of companies report they expect to compete mainly on the basis of customer experience. So the consumption of content and the learning experience needs to be easy, engaging, personalized, consistent, and reliable. And the aesthetics and the functionality needs to be across all devices. So let's talk about really why you should capture it and offer it on demand. One of the key things is you're going to reach more people. When you're at an event, 80% of or more of your kind of target audience is probably not attending. There's all kinds of reasons that they're not attending. So you need to get creative about ways you can make sure that they find value in what you're doing, other than the once a year or twice a year place-based events. You're able to push relevant and timely content out quickly. So maybe there's a piece of legislature that's making an impact in your industry, and your members need to know about it. They can't wait until the next annual meeting. You need to make this available immediately. And that could be something like a quick webinar and making the recording available, or maybe even pulling additional pieces of relevant content from your library to share with them, so it's going to be front and center. You can also, it's going to add attendee value. They can watch something again. Maybe couldn't catch everything, or they can watch something that they could not attend. It's going to save resources. So this is actually for the association itself, and obviously your subject matter experts and the attendees. So there are so many commitments that we all have to manage nowadays that we just simply can't do it all. And we need to, again, find some creative ways to be able to help. So it's going to really help grow and retain membership with that ongoing value. It's going to help you increase your non-dues revenue. This could be things like a yearly subscription to a groupings of content, and I'm going to talk more about that. It also creates a brand recognition, and it's going to uphold your reputation as an educational leader. And it creates a learning path where there's a specific topic for an audience to access over the course of time, and multiple delivery methods or channels. So let's talk some of the things, the challenges that you're likely coming across, and some ideas to help solve those. One of those might be, your webinar and conference recordings that they're just long. Maybe they're an hour, maybe they're an hour and a half, and maybe it's just well suited for a live presentation. Some of the things you can do is edit out those live portions, chunk them down into smaller snippets. Maybe they're just going to be, 10-minute relevant snippets. You could produce something separately, so a popular session maybe that was there. Maybe have them represent it in smaller chunks. You could wrap a community around it. You could highlight some of the video player functions. I'll talk about that. Maybe it's going to be easier for people to learn when they can start and stop or take notes. And there's fractioned content delivery. So this is really all about understanding what your strategy is and making sure it's going to be cohesive. So having if there's a specific topic that somebody's writing about in a blog, that it maybe everybody in your team knows about it, and it can tie in with a webinar, can tie in with a conference session or a webinar item as well. And then just adding extra engagement. So like I said, maybe you want to wrap a discussion around it when it's on demand. So just like when they're at the live event, it's all about that networking. They can do that on demand as well. And even ideas where maybe you want to wrap a kind of a crowdsourcing prior to an event, so you can help get ideas about what is going to be valuable to be talking about in the live session. And then sometimes it's just you don't have the right solution to deliver it that is going to really maximize the value of it. So we're going to be talking about this, just having a platform that is really going to do a good job of this for you. All right, so let's get into some of these ideas. One is that you can pair a physical event with online access, or the other way around, an online event with a place-based event. So you could maybe have some people watch the recordings as a group or individually, and maybe they come back together to discuss this in a brown bag lunch. You could also assign pre-work prior to the event that could be done online first, and then you could apply it at the event, kind of that flipped classroom approach. And then you can also direct attendees after the place-based event to your online portal for a survey, assessment, a discussion, for, again, that continued engagement. You can also produce a webinar or a webcast from a popular conference session. So maybe you want to replay a recording with the presenter still available that could answer a Q&A, or even just create a new webinar that's based on the presentation where you've crowdsourced some of those questions or comments to, again, just keep it fresh. And a critical piece of the success that we're talking about today is going to be the delivery platform for the on-demand access. So you need a platform that's going to provide an effective way to have your constituents access the content easily and find what is most relevant to them at a particular time. So some ideas to consider in your own branded and integrated platform might be creating a library where you can categorize content by year, maybe organize it by day and track. And really your on-site attendees are going to be able to find it quickly that way, potentially. You can also want them to be able to search across all the content. This can typically be done by keywords, titles, descriptions, and speakers. You could break up content by topic or role. You could also organize by file format. So some may want some printable handouts, or they just want the audio file, for example. You want to offer options that best fit each learner. For example, we're seeing a pretty big increase in podcasts lately, and really, I think it's just an easy way for them to listen, outside of, work by their desk. So maybe while they're exercising or commuting, for example. And then you want to consider a strong platform that can handle rich media really well. A recent report indicated that by 2020, video is going to account for 82% of all internet traffic. Remember, it's all about the experience. So some things to consider, is it going to be easy to play, pause, fast forward, rewind, or maybe you need to restrict the ability to fast forward because there's requirements around receiving credits. Volume control, restricting or allowing the download of a piece of content, being able to view it full screens, being able to view little thumbnails, allowing them to take notes while they're watching it, getting them timestamped, could come back and view them again, or even download them. That really enhances the whole engagement and learning experience. You could have attention checks where, again, that's helpful, if you want them to indicate that they're watching it every 10 minutes or something to be able to receive CEUs. That can oftentimes be important for many of our clients. Even having something that can detect bandwidth, so it's going to be optimized for each person that on the device that they're using for the best playback, the least buffering. And then closed captioning, which is really important for accessibility, that 508 compliance. Users, at that point when there's closed captioning, they can even search across video content. And then additional resources. Users are able to, allowing them to be able to really quickly access from the same screen, downloadable documents, slides, or linking to maybe suggested resources or sites. All right, and a critical piece or actually right slide, yes. So another critical piece is being able to access this from any device. So users need to be able to watch a video recording, for example, on their iPad from their couch last night. They should be able to come back to their desktop, in the morning and pick up right where they left off. There we go. All right, and having on content that's going to be social. So actually, I had one more thought I wanted to share on the accessibility. It's noted there, but really almost 1 in 5 people nowadays are really identifying themselves with some type of disability. So making sure that it's going to be accessible to those is really important. And that could be, really making sure the site's accessible, usable by screen readers and other assistive technology. So the other part is making it social. So you're wrapping that discussion thread around an entire event or maybe a grouping of that recorded content. And it could include maybe integrating with a community like Higher Logic where they can earn badges, or maybe they're placed into a specific community or discussion. And then assessments and surveys are really important. Assessments, you could maybe have somebody take a pre-test, and that can indicate really how much your audience knows and what they still need to learn. You can give post-tests where they can help gauge the effectiveness of your online training content. And then surveys are going to allow for feedback from your audience to help future learning success. So find out what's working, what's not, so that you can continually improve based on that valuable insight. And reports and analytics, they're going to help you understand popular topics or presenters or areas where additional learning is going to be needed. So you really want to be able to prove and improve your ROI with a platform that allows you for good and reportable data. And then monetizing this. This is usually tied in with your member database, like Association Anywhere. So you want to have maybe member pricing, non-member pricing, gold member pricing, student pricing, attendees or non-attendee pricing, all so that it's going to recognize who's accessing it. You can also monetize by bundling, and this could be putting together things like a multi-year type of bundle. So maybe have somebody register for 2019 and they receive your 2018 conference recordings. You could bundle multiple types of content. You could put together a top 5 grouping of whether it's webinars from 2019 or the top 5 recordings from the last 5 years. So just kind of getting creative about that. Maybe it's offering coupon discounts or even credits. And in offering, maybe tying in other relevant content in those bundles that you might have, maybe white papers or something. So Arj, let's do another poll to really get a feel for what our colleagues are doing. So just a real simple question. Are you currently creating revenue with your own on-demand content? Just yes or no.
And we'll give you only 30 seconds on this one. Did want to remind everyone too, again, there's a question feature in GoToWebinar. Feel free to shoot some questions our way if you'd like to. And you can also download some handouts in the handout section of GoToWebinar. Okay, I'll give you 3 more seconds. And then we'll close the poll down. Okay, and let me share this with the audience. So we have.
No, not creating any revenue. All right, well, hopefully some of these ideas will be helpful for you that we're talking about today.
Okay, and let me.
All right, so.
There we go.
All right, excellent. So going along with that, the purple line in this value ramp shows your business potential when your content is paired with an enhanced user experience, which is going to expand your reach and really your value to the learner. So those of you that are not really have any efforts around getting revenue for this, this may be a consideration. And not that you even have to charge something for it specifically. We had one of our clients who actually made it part of the member value, and their membership significantly increased. All right, so let's talk about ways to market your content. A lot of this is really going to help tie it together. So you might want to consider selling access to your recordings during your events. You can maybe direct them to a kiosk to order, or you can give them a code for a discount while they're on site. And those are captive attendees already. They're attending for a reason, and it allows you to really capitalize on the excitement and the motivation that they have during the conference. And sometimes they have a work stipend that can help at that time of purchase as well. And you can also capitalize on this when they're registering for an event. You could give them options of maybe some different levels, silver, gold, platinum, when they register for the event. And again, that might be the easiest point of purchase. One of our international clients did this, and they made thousands of dollars of sales prior to the event itself. So just on the registration form, they made it an option. And then, so again, kind of continuing on the marketing ideas, you could target your email blasts to different groups, the members, non-members, attendees, or non-attendees. You could put ads for the content in small not small, but just an email blast, like a newsletter, or you could place ads or direct links on your website. You can provide discount pricing. You can do those in email blasts as well, and maybe at really specific targeted times of the year. You could also create Facebook or Twitter posts that have links to the online store, and you could do that again at relevant and multiple times throughout the year. You could also blog on particular topics and perhaps link back to a bundle of related content for sale. Again, it's all part of kind of tying all different kinds of content in the different channels together. So again, you just think about the strategic message that you're going to be doing. So people that attended, just make it specific to them. You know, are you looking for a refresher on the course that you attended or missed? People that didn't attend, you know, really, you know, you need access to this content and the value of what they can achieve by seeing that on demand. And then you want to recognize their achievement. This could be done through a badge that they would put on their profile, or delivering a certificate, even if it's just a certificate of a completion or attendance. I think sometimes we underestimate the importance of this and how meaningful it is to learners. And then when they're part of a community, for example, completion can foster social engagement. So it could trigger, you know, again, going into discussions or targeted communities or leaderboards for gaming. And then CEUs are going to add value. It really helps the ability to charge a fee for accessing that content. So let's talk about some examples. What are some of the other organizations doing? One of our clients, Academy of Integrative Health and Medicine, they sell recordings from their conferences and workshops to members and to non-members. They have variable pricing, and they have quizzes and surveys that are based on each recording that deliver the appropriate credit types and values, and then they receive an immediate certificate. They also have specific content marketed as preparation for the board exam that has bundles of lecture recordings and quizzes and a practice exam. Prenatal Resources, Inc. They're a not-for-profit medical corporation, and they sell access to material for an 8-month subscription. And then they're able to receive credit by completing a pre-test, watching the video, passing the post-test. And the key here is that they actually offer this multiple different ways to specifically meet the needs of their constituents. They sell an entire package that has both all of the conference presentations as well as individual presentations. And then they sell topics or categories. So, you know, if it's just gynecology that they need, they can buy that specifically for that. So an entire topic and the individual presentations. And then also they even sell kind of extra content for participants of the live course. And these are not cheap. I see my screen's actually from 2016. They've, I think, got 2018 up there right now. All right, another one is USCAP, United States and Canadian Academy of Pathology. They sell courses by timely topics or lecture series and short courses. They have things that are featured on by presentations, handouts, assessments, surveys, and certificates. And they also offer member and non-member pricing that have discounts for purchasing entire seminars versus just the individual presentations. International Electrical Testing Association, their training on demand platform allows the viewing of courses that are purchased from NATA's bookstore, the ability to purchase additional courses, and then view that course content like videos and presentations, and then take their proficiency tests. Their self-paced technical seminars are produced from recordings at their annual technical conference, And those courses are all like 3 to 4 hours, and they serve really that to educate their industry. CM Learning Network brands their site as the learning hub and network for information about the current and future practice of high-quality patient-centric case management services. So this is another association, Anywhere Client, where after the purchase and completion of the CEs, those are written back and accessed on their dashboard. And their content items include podcasts, symposium recordings, issue briefs, and on-demand webinars. AAC International, they turn their conference recordings into continuing education modules. They use product bundles to sell packages of content from the annual meeting, and they sell publications like recommended practices, certifications, and study guides. All right, so those were some examples, and I know I went fairly fast there, but Arj, do you want to kind of take it home and kind of talk a little bit about how the integration works between PathLMS and AA?
Sure, and we won't spend too much time on this. We're not trying to self-promote so much here as we're just trying to talk about, ACGI develops association management software and also credentialing management software. We actually have quite a few customers online today, but we always get the question, how do you create the integration? ACGI has developed with Blue Sky a set of APIs, and these APIs, in a non-technical way, they allow a doorway in and outside of our products, so being able to share information. When you think of that first, individual who goes to your website, which is going to be the first place they all go, right? They will log in to a system which might be the members only system, but have access through single sign-on authentication or single sign-on security to all other products that are integrated with the AMS. And this usually works with most association management systems, so don't think it's just so unique to ACGI, but know that a product like Blue Sky eLearn, we're able to establish that seamless experience. So your members or non-members, whoever you're providing the service or education to, they're able to log in once and have access to many different systems. E-commerce, this is where whether a transaction takes place, so you purchase a course, you purchase materials, you purchase really the session alone, and some of the things Jody also spoke about. Well, those purchases can take, the order can be taken on either Blue Sky or the AMS itself, like Association Anywhere. Once that purchase is made, the fulfillment is usually done though by a product like Blue Sky, okay? So we have some flexibility there to make those things happen. And then finally, writing back any types of information, just like this webinar today, you earn credits as you go and you participate in some of those online credit earning sessions in the e-learning system like Blue Sky. Well, we want that data to come back to the AMS, right? So that we have this system of record. Your database, your association management system, your CRM is typically the system of record. It is the central customer data that it will be stored for the organization to be able to use in many different ways, whether they report on it or they want to actually share this information with other parties. It all has to be in one place. And so the whole idea is to be able to write the information that is most critical back to the AMS. And so that's all I really wanted to share with you. Please, if you have any more questions about how that works, you're free to, we're going to give you some contact information, reach out to either Jody or myself or anyone here at ACGI. Jody, I don't know if you had any other slides to share at this point.
Thank you, Arj. No, I don't.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody's patience as I kind of flew through there. I hope a lot of the content. I hope there were some ideas that you could maybe pick and choose from that are going to fit appropriate to you and your needs and your audience. It's been a real pleasure. I appreciate an opportunity to be here with all of you and Arj and ACGI, and certainly reach out if you do have any questions. Again, as Arj said, if you have any immediate questions you want me to answer live here, we can try and do that as well. But I do appreciate it, and thanks, and and hope everybody has a great day.
Okay, well, Jody, first of all, I'd like to thank you for that, and don't anyone leave yet because we have a few more things we want to go through, and especially if you are here to earn that CAE credit, we want to make sure we do it the proper way that ASAE has instructed us to do. But I did want to, first of all, just say, you've given us, Jody, you've given us some great tips and takeaways for adding value through the techniques and different technologies, whether it's blue skies or just anyone who's trying to implement an e-learning program or just some sort of education program. I was actually, surprised that more than half of the organizations, but I'm not so surprised. We see this out in the industry. More than half the organizations are not generating revenue for more learning. So ACGI has actually dedicated a lot of its efforts and even some of the programming and the teams here to working on education and credentialing, just because we have so many customers that are requesting this type of work. Products like Blue Sky, though, enable you to have that online learning program. We did get one question, Jody, which I wanted to share with you. I don't want to put you too much on the spot here, and please tell us if this is something we want to try to take offline, because I don't expect you to know answer to everything. But here's a pretty simple one. It says, what does it take for an organization to take baby steps to online learning? I guess I'm assuming that they're just trying to get started. How does an organization get started if they've not done this before? And you can see, again, more than half of the audience here may not have programs in place.
Yeah, that actually is a great question. The biggest way that I see organizations doing this is through webinars, and that was something that was evident even in what we saw today. So again, webinars is a nice baby step. It's not very expensive, but it's a great way to reach people virtually, not at that place event, throughout the year, very inexpensively. So it's really important that webinar is done professionally, and that there aren't those technical hiccups, because that could be the only time that many people are going to have interactions with your association. So if they don't have a great experience at that virtual event, like a webinar, they may not come back to the live event. So you're able to reach a lot of people that you may not otherwise, but you want to make sure that it's a great experience, great content, but great experience as well. And then to be able to take those and really start building an archive of that relevant content that you can share out with your industry. Again, kind of starting to build that that reputation and a good archive of that. Whether you sell it or just make it a member value. That's kind of the shortest putt that I see.
Okay. Here's another question. It seems pretty simple, but related to marketing. How does an organization incentivize registrants or attendees to participate in the webinar? I think what they're saying is, how do they get more people to attend and register for a webinar? So we struggle with that ourselves. Even with this webinar, we're trying to find creative ways to get people to participate. But do you have any ideas on that, Jody?
Yeah, actually, I have a resource that maybe we can follow up with everybody as well to participate. I'm trying to think of some of these off the top of my head, but we'll be sure to share that. And a lot of it is that it's going to, you've got everybody on board in your association, and it's part of a big strategy that you have so that everybody's on board. Again, it might be a particular concept that is focused on throughout the year in multiple different channels, so that when it comes to webinar time on this particular topic, that you're going to get a lot of help from your association, that they understand the importance of it, that you're going to get help from your marketing around it, and that it should be oftentimes webinar content, it's pressing information that's happening in your industry at this moment, and it's something that they're not getting elsewhere. So you need to, the more that you're doing that for your attendees, they're going to pay attention to this. So again, just making sure that it's relevant content to them. And so even if you don't have 500 people on the webinar, if you have 100 people that content is so important to them, that's a win. So just I guess a little bit of insight there, but I can share an additional resource.
Okay, and definitely we have the contact information up here. We urge you all to ask questions offline if we can't get to them here. There's a question, it's actually from a customer. I'm not sure I could answer it. I'm going to share it with you, and if we can't, we'll definitely take this offline. But it says, curious if you are able to take an existing digital media course in a SCORM file and add it to your platform. Second part of the question is, content is owned by the organization. In addition, could changes be made as directed by the organization, or would it be in a format that cannot be edited? So I don't know if you've had a question like that before, Jody, and if not, we can answer that one with some other resources.
Yeah, so our platform can have you can upload SCORM content, and we're connected with the SCORM cloud, so it's tracking everything that's happening in that SCORM package. You can actually also upload third-party type of files that have been exported to HTML. So it may be just an Articulate or Captivate file, for example, that you're not putting in SCORM. If you don't have a need to track every little thing that they're doing in that, in that learning module of like an Articulate file, then that may be sufficient. Just as an example, our platform, there's those two things. There's SCORM and there's the third-party type of files like Articulate, but you can also upload videos, you can upload audio files, slides, you can create the test right in the platform. So it offers all of those kinds of capabilities right in there. In our clients, we empower them. One of the reasons why we won those awards and we have good reviews is it's extremely friendly to use. So our clients, at the end of implementation, they're empowered to go in and very easily make uploads, updates, changes to the content. So they would need, for example, if it's a video, they can't adjust the video in the platform. They'd want to get to the original video and make the changes and then re-upload it. So I don't want to confuse that piece of it. Or if there's an Articulate file that they've created, they need to make a change and re-upload it. But it's super easy to do those types of changes and content type changes.
Okay, I would probably have time for maybe one more question, then I have to probably get on with just a few more steps here. But question has to do with accessibility, which we do get often for people who may have disabilities. Or is the system accessible? It looks like someone has answered that Blue Sky LMS is accessible. Speaking for just ACGI and Association Anywhere, most of the accessibility takes place on the website and what is customer facing, or what I mean by that, member or non-member facing through the website. ACGI's self-service apps just by default are not accessible, but typically they are presented through and manipulated through style sheets, so CSS files, which help to conform to a website that is accessible. So again, these, if you can just kind of think about what many of you may offer right now through your own AMS or just through any forms on your website or just building a website, anything that the person who visits your website would interact with should be accessible, or may not be accessible, but it's all controlled through the front-facing part of the website. I could probably get a better answer on that, but just our self-service features, I do know that we are asked every now and again from customers, how do we style these to make them accessible or have them conform to our website? So usually it's on the front end facing part of the website. Let me just see if there's anything else here.
And while you're doing that, just the path that LMS is accessible, it's WCAG 2.0 AA, level AA compliant. So and we're just giving new releases all the time, and it's always run through that check of accessibility for the users. The one part that's harder, but's on our radar right now, is the admin level accessibility. So it's all important.
Right,
and that's a piece that we're working on as well.
That's what we deal with too. Just the back office part of it is what we're working on as well. So I'm going to have to move on right now, but I promise that there's some other questions here, and Jody and I will go through them at the conclusion of the webinar. And promise you we'll get back to you with some answers if we did not answer them today. Again, I wanted to thank Jody for presenting the webinar today. Just really great information. I urge you again to download information that's in the handout section to your right. You'll see either brochures or just some case studies or anything else that you may be interested in, and also visit the websites if you need any more information. I did want to put a plug in there before I move on to the final step, and that's for the upcoming Knowledge Builder webinars.